Hi everyone, welcome to Water Tanks with stewiejp. I'm Stewie and this is a replay sent to me by Bautista from ANZAF clan, part of the ANZ group of clans. And he sent me an awesome replay in his T92, the Tier 10 American artillery piece. It's I don't often do artillery replays, but this replay I thought was worth putting up on YouTube, and he's also sent me one or two other replays which I'll be recording later on in the day. Now the T92, if you've ever come up against one, it has a massive gun capable of doing enormous amounts of damage and a pretty big splash radius, which you're going to see in this replay. He's moving into a decent place for artillery to play from, with a little bit of elevation, which you can see, which as the game progresses you'll see the little bit of elevation really helps his gameplay and helps him pick up a hell of a lot of damage in what ends up being pretty one-sided game, but without giving too much away, he picks up a shitload of damage. You can see he's running Coca-Cola as a consumable in his artillery, which is something I do in all my artilleries as well, which helps all the crew skills, not just things like camouflage and speed, but of course reload and aim time. It really makes a difference, especially in these big derpy guns, which can have quite a large aim time. Now he's aiming into where most of the action normally happens on El Haluf. Puts a shot away, and even though he doesn't directly hit that T57, he still takes him for over 400 damage. Now he relocates, just in case that Conqueror GC is trying to counter him, which we all know a lot of artillery players do. And he's got a bit of height where he is now, and that's why he can shoot over those rocks, which the Centurion and the M4190 and the E5 are all hiding behind those rocks, which that would normally be artillery safe, but because of where he's put his T92, as well as I'm guessing it's got not a bad arc on it as well, he's able to fire into them. Picks up his first kill for 700 damage, and it's the M4190 Grand Final tank. I've got one of those tanks and it's absolutely awesome. It's a really good credit maker and a really fun light tank to play. It relocates again. You can see on the mini-map there's a T49 and a Batchat getting closer and closer to him, and that's something he's obviously worried about. But with that ridge that's in front of him, that should be blocking their view, but he needs to be very careful where he goes from here. Now he's loading armor-piercing ammunition now, because he's firing at some pretty heavily armoured tanks, the Jag Panzer as well as the VK. Fires a shot. Now this shot can't see what it did. You can see it went into the dirt, which may indicate that he didn't do any damage, but he did do some unspotted damage, as you'll see in the post-game battle results towards the end. Now the mods that I'm running on these are the mods that I use, not necessarily the mods that Bautista uses. And you can see the damage counter in the top right corner of the screen. He's on 1138 damage. It's still early days, and he's looking around at what he should shoot at next. That VK would be a very tasty looking target. So he's keeping the aim circle there where the VK and the Jag Panzer were last seen, but there's no one really in a position to spot those tanks. So he's keeping the gun aim that way and just having a look over in this little ridge with the E5, the Centurion, that little RU. And he's changed his mind. He's saying this is where I'm going to aim because that's where the tanks are spotted. But then somehow I'd say the E5 spots that Jag Panzer. Fires a shot out and absolutely smashes him for nearly 1700 damage. Takes him down to a one shot for any other tank on his side. Still a reasonably tight game. They're down by 2 tanks, but Bautista has taken that Jag Panzer down to 33 hit points, which is, as I said, a one shot for anyone else playing, even if they fired high explosive with a little bit of luck. But there's still plenty of high health tanks there. You can see the E5, the VK32OB. There's also an E75, which is playing around there, and that Centurion Action X is getting a little bit of a hammering, and the T57 as well, but he's still looking at that VK. He fires a shot. I thought this was going to miss. He did actually miss, but the splash damage gave him 558 damage. Now he's having another look down towards back near the enemy base, looking at that Batchat, which is a one-shot, but and as anyone who's come up against a Batchat can be a very dangerous tank, especially if you're in a lightly armoured artillery. T49 as well would be able to one-shot Beach Dasbro and his T92. But the T10 is holding them at bay and stopping them coming back up that mountain. So Beach Dasbro focuses his attention back to where he was earlier, where the main action of the game's going, because his team is in a lot of trouble. There's the FV215B 183, which is a great tank, does a lot of alpha damage, but he's pretty much on his own with that M103 and the RU. Now this shot damages 3 shots in one. The E5 takes the E5 down to less than 400 hit points, does a little bit of damage to the E50, and also takes the Centurion AX to below 400 hit points. So it's all those tanks, he's pretty much rendered them down to 1 shots for any of the tanks that are playing, the M103 or the FV for sure. But the RU gets taken out of the game. He was doing a great amount of spotting for Beach Dasbro, his T92, and also for the other tanks that were playing around that area, but they'd simply outnumbered. At the start of the game, a lot of the tanks on Beach Dasbro were hanging around this area and not really doing much, as he aims into that Centurion as well as that E50. Now that Centurion has had a pretty good game. He's just picked up his 3rd kill. And the E50, which is not a bad looking tank, I'm thinking of getting one soon, gets set on fire by Beach Dasbro, and he's now taken down to about 400 hit points. So a lot of those tanks up in the northwest corner are down to around about 400 hit points or less. But unfortunately for Beach Dasbro, his team has just simply crumbled. And you'll see on the post-game battle results how they all go, and how Beach Dasbro really does have a massive game, even though I guess the secret's out, it's going to be a loss. Now he's looking at that Conqueror. That Conqueror is giving his E4 a really hard time. Beach Dasbro knows that the Conqueror can't be one-shot by that E4, so that's what he's putting his attention on. You can see he's done over 6,000 damage. Now that doesn't count damage that wasn't spotted. Now the Conqueror's down to 900, 600 hit points now, but he's already aimed, so he may as well take him out of the game. Picks up his 2nd kill for nearly 7,000 damage, and he relocates again because he knows he's going to be spotted soon. That E75, even though it doesn't have a great view range, it's going to be encroaching on him really soon. And that T10, who has been camping the whole game, even though he's been camping the whole game, he hasn't really had much of a game. So Beach Dasbro's loaded armor piercing ammunition again to do a higher amount of damage with less splash. I think that's the basic difference between armor piercing and high explosive ammunition. And he's going into TD mode. He's cresting this hill. He knows he's going to get spotted when he gets over this hill. He does, but the E75 isn't looking at him. Auto aims on the E75, cops a shot from the hill, whacks 1,677 damage into that E75, but unfortunately gets double tapped. I think he got hit once by the Centurion and then killed by the E75. 5-14, that's not going to be a great win. Beach Dasbro's obviously got a similar mod pack to me, which tells him that he's done 8,600 damage, because he's told people in the team that that's what he's done, even though it's going to be a loss. But when we look on the post-game battle results, you can see he's actually done a little bit more than that. The E4 puts a shot into the T10, takes a shot and bounces it in return, and gets taken out. And unfortunately it's a loss. And here's a question for you. It's a massive game. He's picked up a high caliber, a Gauze medal for doing 10 times the hit points of his vehicle, Bruiser for doing some crew module damage and all that kind of stuff, which is not unusual for artillery. He's only picked up a 3rd class mastery badge. Now I googled 3rd class well, Ace Tanker Mastery Badge for the T92, and it seems to indicate that around about 7,000 damage is enough. But as you look on the second page of the post-game battle results, Beach Dasbro did over 9,000 damage. So I'm not sure why he only got a third-class Mastery Badge. Maybe a loss contributes to what kind of reward you get for the amount of damage you do, but he absolutely... Well, he carried, but he didn't carry him to a win. Unfortunately, he carried him to a loss. He only took 2 hits, which is what killed him, but 9,154 damage, which gave him those medals, the Gauze medal, as well as the Bruiser and the High Caliber. Comprehensively outscored everyone on his team, as well as the other team. The top damage on the other team was only just over 4,000 damage, which is nothing to sneeze at in an E5. And the Centurion picking up 5 kills for 3,500 damage. They had some really good games as well. But unfortunate for Beach Dasbro, 9,154 damage with a couple of kills. And unfortunately for him, it wasn't a win. You can see he lost a little bit of coin in it, but that amount of damage is always going to be good for credits. Probably fight a little bit of gold ammunition, of course, and of course the cost of the Coca-Cola. And the repairs to his tank comes into it. So I hope you've enjoyed this replay from Beach Dasbro. Thank you very much, Beach Daz, for sending me this replay as well as the other one you sent me. It's been an awesome game, and even though it was artillery, and I don't normally do artillery replays, I thought that was pretty entertaining and unfortunate because you had a massive game. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you did enjoy it, please consider subscribing to the channel or even liking it or sharing it on social media or any other platform you may choose. Thanks for watching. I'll be recording some more replays. We should be getting plenty more replays in the next coming weeks. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you all next time.